Hi, my name is Rob Stapleford and I'm president of the Canadian Institute of Actuaries. The latest board meeting covered a lot of important topics, and I'll focus on some of the highlights in this video update. For those who prefer written communication, we'll release the script for this video in English and French. And thanks to Jacques Tremblay, who will deliver the update in French. Merci, Jacques. The board got together the night before the scheduled meeting on September 30th for an orientation session for new members and to start work on the CIA's strategic plan. The plan is due for review in order to set out objectives for the next 3 to 5 years. The core of a strategic plan is the vision and mission of the organization. After much discussion over several meetings, the board adopted the following vision for the CIA: financial security for Canadians. And the mission is, as a trusted bilingual voice of the Canadian actuarial profession, we advance actuarial science and its application for the well-being of society. Before launching into a detailed planning process for government outreach, the board commissioned an impression audit from Greenberg, Quinlan, Rosner, GQR, a respected research and polling firm. An impression audit seeks input from various stakeholders in an interview format to obtain a deeper perspective on the CIA. GQR conducted 34 in-depth interviews of a cross-section of CIA stakeholders, including politicians, government officials, regulators, and others who were being asked about the major risks facing Canada, their attitude towards and understanding of the work of actuaries and the CIA, and the routes open to the CIA for engaging in public affairs. Highlights of the audit included elected politicians, government officials, and regulators know actuaries to varying degrees, and they do want to have input from the profession, as actuaries have much to add to solving the nation's issues. Secondly, the CIA was strongly encouraged to be an expert witness with a long-term, sage perspective on various issues. And lastly, we are seen to have the scope to add valuable and needed perspectives to demographics and aging, healthcare finance, public administration, and climate risk. There's recognition internally that some of the research projects need to be aligned to topics that relate to these stakeholders' needs, and that this work will create even deeper connections between the CIA and governments. There is plenty of interesting information in GQR's final report, and we plan to offer webcasts to members on the results of the impression audit. A key step in the strategic planning process will be to determine the primary areas of focus for the profession in 2016 to 19. The board identified several possible objectives, including public policy, education for the future, member engagement, and non-traditional areas of practice. The board wants to seek membership input on the strategic objectives for the CIA. A survey will be released to members shortly to get your input on what direction the CIA should take over the next 3 to 5 years. In order to obtain and analyze input from as many as 5,000 members, the survey will be designed to make input easy to provide and analyze within our work plan. Dave Dixon, CIA President-elect, will lead the effort to prepare a draft of the strategic plan for discussion at the November board meeting. The board will use member input as it determines the ultimate strategy. Stay tuned for more on this process in the very near future, and please respond to the survey. The board held a wide-ranging discussion on the public interest, the profession's role in it, and how it is defined. Getting involved does represent some risk for the profession, but not getting involved has risk as well, not only for actuaries, but also for Canadians and Canada. One of the comments made during the discussion was that the profession's commitment to the public interest is one critical item that separates the CIA from being a trade association. There will be more on this topic as we move through the strategic planning process over the next 6 months. There are some subscribers to the Generalist who have expressed concerns about a press release that was distributed to the media on September 3rd. As mentioned in an announcement on September 16th, the release was withdrawn from the CIA website and scheduled to be discussed at the board meeting on September 30th. The board had a robust discussion about the process followed, the application of related bylaws and policies, and the timing of the release. The key results were that the board agreed that the process for reviewing and issuing the release was consistent with the board's interpretation of applicable bylaws and policies and practices applied to previous communication tools such as press releases. The board was also concerned about how the release was covered on Twitter. The board decided not to repost the release but concentrate on the upcoming release on pension policy. For members who want to know more about the recent messages on the general list about the press release and Twitter, please see my announcement to all members on October 2nd. And please be assured that the board takes, and I take, following due process very seriously and strives to do so in all of our activities. The Actuarial Standards Board Chair, Ty Faulds, delivered the annual update on the work of the ASB to the board. Ty advised us that there are 4 priority areas for the upcoming year. The first is standards for target benefit plans. Secondly, investment practice standards, followed by own risk solvency assessment for insurance companies, and lastly, consistency between practice-specific standards. Ty also mentioned some of the areas of concern for the ASB, such as the recognition of mortality improvement trends with a focus on consistency between pension and insurance standards, including pension and marriage breakdown commuted value standards, and evolving provincial developments in target benefit plans with continued low interest rates. These factors and others have led to the deterioration in the funding status of pension plans and implications for all aspects of insurance, post-employment benefits, and public personal injury compensation plan valuations. Ty also talked about the progress by the International Actuarial Association on international standards of practice, both approved and those under development. 2 of the standards of practice are in the risk management field, and he mentioned that the CIA's Enterprise Risk Management Applications Committee will be meeting with the ASB to discuss the possibility of developing practice-specific standards for ERM. As well, the ASB mentioned a few other areas where there are no practice-specific standards. Actuarial work for public plans such as the CPP, QPP, employment insurance, public health care, and investment work. Finally, Ty updated the board on the project plans for general standards, insurance standards, pensions, and actuarial evidence. The ASB has lots on its plate. Marie-Hélène Malenfant, the chair of the MSC, delivered the annual report to the board. Several members just completed their terms of service on the MSC, and 6 new members, including 1 young actuary, have been approved to join the MSC. A vice chair will be named shortly. Marie-Hélène reviewed some of the documents that have been published over the year. A new policy on the due process for all research documents was recently passed by the Practice Council, Research Committee, and the MSC. The new policy will cover every type of research document and will reinforce the approval process substantially. As I mentioned earlier, the Research Committee and the MSC will be looking at the development of checklists for documents not included in the new policy on due process for the approval of research reports. In addition, the MSC has launched a project to review, update, and in some cases create due process for publishing and issuing specific CIA documents such as press release and tweets. The Public Policy Committee has been very active since its creation last spring and has approved and published 15 submissions and public positions. We can be proud of the work of the Public Policy Committee. The MSC approved the creation of a committee on predictive modeling, an academic research subcommittee under the Research Committee, and the mandate for the Volunteer Management and Development Committee, which will incorporate the work of the Volunteer Initiatives Committee. The Volunteer Management and Development Committee assumes responsibility for the important work of managing this critical resource for the profession. The CIA will submit an expression of interest to the International Actuarial Association about holding the 2026 International Congress of Actuaries in Canada. The board has selected Jason Very to chair the Vancouver Organizing Committee for this event. Jason has been a pension actuary for over 15 years and is an active volunteer with the CIA. Jason was the chair of the CIA's Eligibility and Education Council and is currently on the Public Positions Committee. Thanks very much to Jason for taking on this responsibility. You'll still be a young guy when the event occurs in 2026. Our bid is due by February of 2016. The next board meeting will be held on November 26th, and there are many items that will move ahead in the meantime, including reaching out to you, the members, for input on the strategic plan. I look forward to hearing from you on the plan and look forward to our next update on current issues. A bientôt.